This podcast is brought to you by Legend Comics and Coffee in Omaha, Nebraska, located in scenic downtown Benson. They got a new location. It's absolutely gorgeous. Check it out. And by listeners like you. Go to Patreon.com/2headed nerd. Become a patron. Support this show.
Once, they were two best friends managing a comic book store. But when an innocent blood oath went wrong, the two found themselves trapped in the same body, imprisoned in a strange pyramid made of long boxes, buried deep below their hometown, where they are doomed to discuss comic books until the end of time. They were once Joe and Matt. Now they are known as the Two-Headed Nerd. And this is their podcast.
Broadcasting from the Ziggurat at Omaha in caverns deep below the metro area, it's our pleasure to welcome you to another Back Issue Show, episode 788 of the Two-Headed Nerd comic book podcast. I'm your head number one, the internet's Joe Patrick. The road to 800 starts here.
Boy, I'm your head number two. My name is Matt Baum. Like Joe said, it's a Back Issue Show where we dig deep into some classic comics in an attempt to solve our daddy issues.
It's cheaper than therapy, that's for sure.
True.
This time, we're digging into our collection and reading Peacemaker's first DC miniseries from 1988 to see where James Gunn got his inspiration for John Cena's tragic character. If you think your dad sucks, wait until you meet Chris Smith's old man. Macho, fetch us the therapy couch, a box of tissues, and Peacemaker Volume 2, Issues 1 through 4. It's Back Issue time in the Ziggurat.
I know for a fact both of you have very loving fathers, but I'll play along for the sake of the show. Here are your pristine copies of the first Peacemaker miniseries from DC.
Before we dig into this mini, Uncle Joe, why don't you let these little listeners have a seat on your lap and tell them about the history of the Peacemaker?
No, sit over there.
No.
I'm on the therapy couch.
Come on,
you don't need to come up here. There's
come
no
on,
room
everyone.
for you up here.
There's plenty of room.
Peacemaker is a character that has his origins in the Silver Age of comics. He first appeared in November of 1966 in the pages of Fightin' 5, number 40 from Charlton Comics. He was created by Joe Gill and Pat Boyette, two comic book creators that I'm sure you've all heard of.
Sure, absolutely. It was 1966. Gill and Boyette were the hottest, let me tell you.
Right. The Lee and Kirby of Charlton Comics.
Yeah.
Smith was a diplomat and a peace envoy for the United States. He had a profound hatred for violence, but would routinely dress up in body armor, complete with a variety of lethal weapons, and parachute into international trouble spots as the Peacemaker, where he would cause absolute mayhem to, quote unquote, preserve peace.
That's going to carry over. We'll see that they brought that directly from Charlton.
That is a through line straight to today. Gill's Peacemaker was obviously a Cold War era superhero, and really, Paul Kupperberg's Peacemaker is still a Cold War era superhero.
It's 89.
But
yeah, 88.
The 89 version, yeah.
88, yeah.
88, yeah. But Gill's version was more of a James Bond type. He battled communists with the super weapon of the month, lots of gadgets. He operated out of a private chateau called the Peace Palace in the Swiss Alps.
Hey, Batman in the Batcave. So, I mean, don't knock it,
That's where he stored all of his advanced weaponry. His skills include diplomacy, firearms, aviation, gadgetry, stealth, escapology.
I would think
that's
stealth.
Probably not how you pronounce that.
And
word,
an escapology, like, aren't those? I mean, aren't they one and the same? Do we need to? Right?
Well, no. Stealth is the art of hiding real good.
I guess.
Escapology is the art of like getting out of a straitjacket.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
all right, fair.
And also military protocol. He has body armor. He's got a helmet with radar, radio communication, an ultrasonic stun beam, and a laser beam, plus a jetpack and a fancy aircraft. because it's the 60s and he's superhero coded, so he's not like shooting bullets or anything.
Yeah. That does not carry through. So
no, it sure does not.
Yeah.
Smith's missions often involved thwarting international provocateurs and arms dealers such as Emil Bork, the Commodore, Ferdonic. Who are these characters?
He's an ambassador from a small Balkan country that was building nuclear weapons.
Ferdinich, right?
I think it's Ferdonic.
Or Ferdonic is an ambassador from a small Balkan country that was building nuclear reactors. Gek, who was a communist, and Enrico Lucchetti, who was a nuclear physicist who created fishmen for an underwater city, like one does.
Like nuclear physicists do.
Sure, right. Yeah. He also dealt with threats like Colonel Uz, that's UZ, who was an arms dealer / thief, and Mr. Blaze, who was a failed magician who wore a flame-proof suit and commanded a group of lava men.
As you do.
I know lots of failed magicians that are in the exact same boat.
Yeah, you fail in magic, you end up hanging with the lava men. That's just how it goes these days.
Yeah, you got to pick one subterranean race, and that's where you're stuck, baby. So after Charlton ceased operations, DC acquired their library. So circa 85, DC folded these characters into the main DC universe in the pages of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Peacemaker's first appearance in that era was in Crisis on Infinite Earths number 6. They said that the Charlton Earth was Earth 4. It merged with all of the others at the dawn of time when the multiverse was reborn as one, which initially kind of erased his world from existence. However, his history was kind of rebooted in the post-Crisis universe, which we will talk about. Eventually, Earth 4 is resurrected during Dark Crisis from a couple of years ago. Don't even worry about it.
I forgot about that shit, and I read Dark Crisis.
During the original Crisis, you can see him in the background fighting shadow demons in Chicago. He's there for the big battle at the dawn of the multiverse. He is not an important part of the Crisis. It's just there for DC to show off their new toys. Prior to his own miniseries, which we're going to talk about today, Chris was significantly reimagined in a 3-issue arc in Vigilante, issues 36 through 38. Now, Vigilante 36, I believe, is an issue that we reviewed on the show when we did Suicide Squad characters, right? Right. And we talked about the first appearance of Peacemaker within DC continuity. This was by Paul Kupperberg.
Editor's note. It was in episode number 631.
This portrayal was a wildly different version compared to the Cold War era super spy from the 60s. This guy was unhinged. He was a counterterrorism freelancer who loves peace enough to kill for it. He was clearly depicted as mentally unstable. He talked to his helmet, believing that it contained the souls of those he had executed.
Keep in mind, DC was so impressed with this version. They were like, Kupperberg, you're the guy. Give us more of this Peacemaker. His boy Todd Smith was the artist on those Vigilante issues, and Kupperberg in interviews would say that he envisioned the Peacemaker as sort of a critical takedown of the 80s action hero. Keep in mind, this is like the same year that like Die Hard came out, and it's post Rambo and stuff. So maybe it's him rewriting history a little bit, and we'll talk about that after we get into these issues. But, you know, this is where I got the idea, basically. Like, what if Rambo had dad issues, and that's why he was such a psychopath?
Yeah. I mean, you think Rambo doesn't have dad issues?
Rambo definitely has dad issues. But first and foremost, he's a goddamn patriot, Joe. Let's not forget that, okay?
Sure. And he didn't watch his buddies die face down in the muck, blah, blah, blah. I get it.
That sure was swell, Uncle Joe. Thanks. I think all the kiddies liked it too. But what was going on in DC in 1988? Because this seems like a real departure from the other DC superhero comics of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear reading this that this book is considered for mature readers, even though curiously it's not labeled as such. It probably should have been.
Yeah, nowhere on this. Well, we'll get into that.
It should have been like somebody calls a woman a bitch in one issue like that shit would not have flagged.
To be fair, she was being a bitch. So I mean, like,
to be fair, she was being a bitch. Yeah.
course I'm kidding. So 1988.
So at this point, Alan Moore and Brian Boland had just put out The Killing Joke in 88. There was something of a British invasion happening at DC at the time. Neil Gaiman was on the rise. We don't like to talk about him these days. Animal Man by Grant Morrison was getting started. Hellblazer started the same month. Peacemaker #1 came out. Hellblazer #1.
Okay, so shit was getting dark.
By Jamie Delano.
Shit was getting legit dark in the DCU in 1988.
So we are pre-Vertigo.
Okay.
But also consider this is in the wake of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. This is in the wake of Watchmen, of Dark Knight Returns. DC is already doing mature stories, even if they don't have an imprint for them.
And all that stuff sold like gangbusters. So DC is like, okay, there's money to be made in sort of mature comic books.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. Green Arrow by Mike Grell got its start. So there's a lot of books getting launched in the post-crisis DCU, characters getting their own books again, either again or for the first time.
Right. This was also the year Die Hard hit theaters. So big, violent action was all the rage. And DC was putting out some darker stuff. Even Mike Grell's Green Arrow was a much darker take on Green Arrow than we were used to at the time. Okay, that makes a little more sense for what we're about to get into, because this Peacemaker, he might be just as nuts as we left him in the pages of Vigilante, if not crazier. Let's rock this. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, Joe Patrick. Let's take off our pants and wade into the bloody waters of Peacemaker, Volume 2, #1. Story titled, A Breach of Peace. This is from DC, January 1988. It's written by Paul Kupperberg, cover and art by Todd Smith, inks by Pablo Marcos, colors by Gene D'Angelo, and the letters by John Costanza. As we go on, I'm not going to read the creators because nothing changes but the letterer later on. So I'll be sure to note that for you.
And nobody gives a shit about the letterer.
Yeah. What? That's
I'm kidding,
true.
guys.
Wait a minute. What?
Letterers are an essential part of the comic book experience, and I appreciate them.
Peacemaker #1 sees a squad of terrorists raiding a beach on the French Riviera, successfully assassinating several key figures of an upcoming American-Soviet peace summit. And I gotta say, this is a pretty violent opening for what looks like a superhero comic. I mean, the cover is just a guy in a helmet, an explosion. He's flying something. He's got like robot parts he's looking into. It's very Jack Kirby. But once we get into this, all the beautiful French people are basically getting murdered on the coastline as these unnamed terrorists. One guy, he's awesome. He's got like bullet bandoliers and an eye patch and a do-rag.
That guy is the most expressive of all of the terrorists.
He really is. And I like,
he's got the bug eyes.
Oh, he's great. Throughout this entire series, I'm going to try and decide if Todd Smith is a good artist or not. Because there's times where I'm like, that's pretty good. And there's other parts where I'm like, hey, Todd, what's going on with this guy? Because I understand he's firing a gun. It says butta, 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 and his arms are together, but you cannot see the gun at all. And I
think the answer to your question is yes.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. When the Peacemaker arrives in his helicopter, there's a lot of Peacemaker just showing up going on. That'll be a theme here, right? When he arrives in his Peacecopter, he immediately just starts killing. He knows who to kill. He understands who the bad guys are. And he's not just shooting them with bullets. He's shooting them with missiles. He is immediately full action mode, just blowing shit up.
It's the truth.
Now, maybe you could say, well, yeah, he looks and sees like everybody on the beach is dead, so it doesn't matter. He can just open fire. But like, he's just full-fledged murder mode and then leaps out of his helicopter. And this is the part where we're like, oh, somebody else is helping him because he's talking to somebody. He's like, you fly the copter while I go murder these guys. And jumps out.
He's talking to somebody who turns out to be nobody.
Well, yeah, they're someone. They're just not the someone we think they are.
Yeah.
Now, I got to ask, does the helmet grow the angrier the Peacemaker gets?
or is that Todd Smith? Because it seems like, and this will be a recurring thing, the angrier we see the Peacemaker, the bigger the rib on top of his helmet becomes.
It's like the Hulk.
Yeah.
The angrier Peacemaker gets, the bigger his helmet gets. I think you know that obviously his helmet does not grow.
No, I know.
I think that the artist is just
poking a little fun at Mr. Smith here.
Inconsistent.
Yes, yeah. Poking, but I do love the Peacecopter. It's like literally all this shit is just...
The Peacecopter, yeah.
And we can't make too much fun. We got a Batcopter.
It looks like the badass helicopter from Cops.
It does.
Central Organization of Police Specialists.
Absolutely. It's also red and white, so looks like it could be like an emergency helicopter or, like a Red Cross helicopter. No, it's not. And you're going to get shot if it shows up, and you're going to get a missile shot at you. So the Peacemaker, we have learned, very good at killing people, very bad at saving innocent people. And he's very upset about it.
Yeah, I mean, he shows up late, right? By the time he gets here, the terrorists have already slaughtered everybody.
Yeah. And he's super bummed, and he can't handle it. And he's telling someone to pilot the copter while he kicks ass and everything. But when he does get back in the helicopter and he's heading home, we start to have some dark flashbacks as to what was going on that created the Peacemaker.
Well, we also very definitively are shown that the other seat in the helicopter is empty, and the word balloon is coming from nowhere.
Yes. So one of two things is happening here. Let's just talk about this real quick. One of two things is happening here. Based on the information that we have, he's barking commands at someone to control the helicopter. That includes shooting guns and missiles and killing people while he is not in the helicopter. But
correct.
We will learn that he is talking to the ghost of his dead father. And we'll get into Dad in a minute here, who he says to control the helicopter. Now, the reality of the situation may be, and this is shouted out by one of the terrorists, he's got a remote control in his helmet that's making the helicopter drive or something like that. So what is the truth here? Because we know Dad is dead.
I think we are presented with options in this first issue. The first option, yes, we learn that he's got a lot of complicated baggage about his dad that he's dealing with, his dead Nazi dad, which we're going to get into.
Right.
But I think it's also implied that while this second person is not literally in the copter, it could be somebody in a remote location operating the copter by autopilot.
But we never meet
by remote.
We never meet that person, and they're never mentioned. If that is the case.
But he calls it, but he refers to it. He refers to this second person as his father.
Right.
There's a lot of question marks at first because the helicopter is clearly not driving itself. It's not piloted by a ghost.
And there'll be a jet later that is not driving itself. Like there's a lot. And on one thing, and we'll get to a character that could have handled this job, but has one minor setback later on.
Right, exactly. My take on it after reading the entire miniseries is that Peacemaker's subconscious is piloting the helicopter via the cybernetic control.
Something in the helmet. Robot helmet is remote controlling the helmet.
So in his mind, he thinks it's his dad, but his dad is in his mind.
Fair. Okay. Well, yeah.
Right?
Possibly. So let's talk about Dad for a minute here. In the regular Peacemaker show, Dad is a white supremacist. He's a bad guy.
Because it's modern day. This book is set in 1988. Before the fall of the Berlin Wall.
But let me ask you this.
So his dad would have been the greatest generation, right? Of World War II.
Is there any history of James Gunn's version of the Peacemaker's dad wearing that costume, doing this as that character?
No. I think that everything we need to know about Christopher Smith's comic book dad is in this comic book.
Gotcha. So let's talk about Chris's dad for a moment, shall we?
Yeah, okay.
Dad is a Nazi, a full-on Nazi, not like a white supremacist, not like a literal Nazi soldier,
like a literal German Nazi,
goose-stepping SS swastika wearing Nazi,
in charge of a concentration camp Nazi.
Not just any concentration camp, a very quote unquote successful concentration camp. And when they, you know how they measured success in concentration camps?
Yeah.
Number of Jewish people killed. He revolutionized a way to kill lots of Jews really fast.
He cornered the market.
Yeah.
Nice.
So he's the worst guy. Like as bad as they come. To top it all off, later on in life, rather than face his sins, like after World War II, and they're going to bring him to trial, he's like, I'm not going to trial. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to heroically kill myself, right? To avoid any justice. But I'm going to wait until my son, Chris, comes into the goddamn room so he can witness me kill myself.
The number of times we are shown over the course of 4 issues, Peacemaker's father with a literal gun in his mouth.
Yes.
On panel for a comic book that's not labeled mature readers is staggering.
I forget. Pardon me. Not only did he kill himself in front of Chris, he did it on his 5th birthday. Happy birthday, son. Kapow.
Now I'm looking at like page 9. We're on at page 9.
We don't know this yet.
Page 9. We see it is clear that Chris is hallucinating because he is not in the copter anymore. He's still talking to his dad.
He's back in the chateau.
He is seeing his dad talking to him. He's in the chalet looking out the window, except through the window, we see his dad standing outside the concentration camp with his arm raised, singing Deutschland über alles.
Right.
And it's, like the dude is cracked.
Now, but at this point, Chris still looks pretty good. He's a good looking guy. He's well kept.
Functional.
His hair's nice. He's got a super hot girlfriend, Dominique. She's a total badass. Yeah. We'll find out later on. Right. We meet Lord Ross, his helper, in a smoking jacket, and he's got a little handlebar mustache, right?
Yeah.
We meet Gunther.
I believe his name is Llewellyn, which is the most British of names.
Lord Llewellyn Ross. We meet Gunther. He's the butler in the chalet. And we meet Brigitte, the hot maid, who is actually a therapist in disguise.
Nothing says mental health like a woman in a French maid costume.
Well, I mean, like, that's the thing. We are quickly learning here that this is a very broken character. These people totally understand how broken he is. I do think that Smith is doing a good job in the art in showing this guy's good looking. This guy's a badass. But this guy has mental problems. He's staring off into the distance.
Yeah.
He looks powerless at times. You know, he's worried. He's upset.
There's some omniscient narrator stuff going on here where they talks about, you know, the pain that Chris is feeling, et cetera, et cetera. He can't let them see him like that. Like, he can't afford to let them see him like this. He's supposed to be in control, but when Wolf shows up, the control disappears. Wolf is his dad, aka Wolfgang. So
Chris believes he's running things. He's the guy. But the secret is everybody behind the scenes knows he's crazy. They're sort of running the show. They need him to be the super muscle, more or less, for what is coming.
And I actually
that's clever as hell.
Really, I liked the way Kupperberg kind of put together this whole organization. It's a house of cards, but as long as everything's standing up, it should operate fine. But Wolfgang's in Chris's head, poking at that bottom card.
Yeah.
You're getting ready to knock
but they
down.
know he's crazy. Like this is very much like an Inspector Gadget type situation where Penny and Brain are obviously in charge of everything.
Yeah, right.
But Inspector Gadget has like expandable arms and roller skates and shit. So we need him, right?
Right.
So our girl Dominique, who is the girlfriend, who we will find out actually cares about this guy. She's not just totally using him, but she does.
Yeah, you know, she's falling for him. Typical spy stuff.
Right. She works for the Pax Institute. Pax, Latin for peace. Huh? See? Got a theme going, right? They never really go into like who funds the Pax Institute, what it actually does. Like they sort of seem like rich peace vigilantes as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know beyond that. Yeah, they they fund a gun-toting
A
lunatic.
crazy person. Yes, a full-on crazy. And not just that, they know he's crazy and they talk about how crazy he is. They were immediately following this.
Oh, literally the entire time.
Yeah, Dominique leaves and goes to Geneva, Switzerland to meet some guy who is like, how's everything going with the crazy dude? And is he still talking to all the souls that he believes are in his helmet? And she's like, nah, we got him out of that. The therapy. He's working with his secret therapist, sexy maid, right?
Yeah. So they talk about how he's been like psychologically conditioned. It's not just like therapy and they're like feeding him a line. Like,
well, they had to, and it's probably a good thing because we come to learn while our girl Dom is having dinner with this guy from the agency, we get the full story of Chris, where after his dad killed himself, Chris moves to the States, changes his name, joins the military, goes to Vietnam. Well, first he was in high school and he was a bully and had some problems, but then he goes to Vietnam where he guns down an innocent village of people and he is sentenced to life in jail for the massacre. His only way out was to join the Peacemaker, Project Peacemaker, as like a second chance, sort of a Suicide Squad type thing. But after President Nixon was out of office, they shut it down and it's over. But they didn't shut it down, did they? So Chris shows up in the pages of Vigilante. He is a whack job. He's trying to be a hero. He's trying to vindicate himself. He's trying to get away from his father's evil, but he's just too messed up, man. And now he's going to save the world from World War III. What could go wrong? There's an entire Backmanner piece. It's way too long, and I do not suggest you read it, but it's all about how messed up Chris is, and everyone knows it but him. Everybody. It's sad, honestly. Meanwhile, on an island in the Aegean Sea, the Chinese crime lord, Dr. Zin, oversees the training of his special forces. He uncovers a German spy who has infiltrated his organization and has him executed. So let's talk about Zin for a second before we get into that.
This is some yellow panic bullshit.
Full on. But also, strangely, Zin is a huge mad-on for the Soviet Union. Wants to take down the Soviet Union. He's so pissed at the Soviet Union. And his plans destroy the Soviet Union infrastructure and use its fragmented remains to establish his own power base from which he intends to literally export terrorism, right? So like, A, overthrow the Soviet Union. B, export terrorism. C, profit. Right. It's like Cobra, but without any financing, right?
Right.
Dr. Zin is absolutely Fu Manchu meets Ming the Merciless, generic terrorist. This is right out of the Charlton shit. This is your scary terrorist of the month, right?
He's inscrutable Chinese, long-bearded, long.
Oh yeah, and this has it all.
Fingernails.
It's total ripoff of the bad guy from Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee. He's got an island full of henchmen and everything.
I mean, to DC's credit, I guess they avoided putting the word yellow in his name. Like in like 1980, 82, Marvel was still publishing comic books where the Avengers fought a villain called the Yellow Claw.
Right.
And it's just like, yikes.
I will give them credit that his whole thing is I'm here to take down the Soviet Union, not freedom or America or anything like that. Like,
no. This guy just wants to sow chaos to increase his own power.
Yeah. Later, we see Chris meet up with his blind mechanic, Frank Keller. Frank Keller was the character that I was mentioning that could have been your guy flying the copter.
Your word for that pesky blindness.
Your guy flying the jet. But Kupperberg decided to make this character blind for reasons I don't fully understand. And this character is also not just blind. He fucking hates people. Hates them. You know why? People are always messing up his planes, his helicopters and shit. He loves machines. It's so weird. While Chris is there talking to Frank, of course, this triggers the flashback where we learn that Dad shot himself in front of Chris on his 5th birthday because this shit is dark. Really, really dark. Like they show the suicide on panel, basically.
Well, they show the gun in the mouth and then you see a muzzle flash, but yes.
But his last words to his kid, still here, Christopher? Ach, you were always there to witness me killing myself, and you always kept that secret, didn't you? And he's like, Father, don't! Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dark shit, man.
No, it is.
Suddenly, the automatic news monitor reports that another band of terrorists has seized a French Concorde carrying American NATO delegates at Charles de Gaulle Airport. There were more than one Concordes. Did you know that? It wasn't just one. There was a few of them. So Chris grabs his best girl, Dom, gives her a squeeze and a kiss, puts on his massive helmet, jumps in the Peacemaker jet, and he's on his way to France. He's crazy.
So that's the end of issue 1. He flies off in the peace jet, which I think I'm going to call the Jet Maker. We've got the Peacecopter and the Jet Maker.
Okay, the Jet Maker. I like it. But the only thing we've learned so far, Peacemaker, he's not just crazy. He's crazy good looking. Huh? All right. Peacemaker number 2. Peacemaker number 2 is a comic book that I recall seeing in quarter bins for as long as I remember reading comic books and going to comic book shops. It is a great cover. It's Peacemaker, 2 guns.
Look, I'm going to say it right now. This is a way better first issue cover than the cover of number 1 actually is.
No question. Yeah, absolutely. This looks like an action comic.
This should have been the cover of Peacemaker number 1.
Right. This is a comic book that I would pick up as a kid. Like guy with 2 Uzis.
Yeah, I would look at that. I would look at that and go, look at that guy's fucking helmet. I want that.
He's got a grenade. He's getting shot in the thigh for some reason. It doesn't even bother him. He's smiling. Like, look how badass this dude is.
His costume is clearly bulletproof. There's dead bodies everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Shit is on fire. This is where you start to think, you know what? This Todd Smith might be onto something.
The story is called The Wages of Zin. Tzin, as in Dr. Zinzin, right?
It's Dr. Zinzin, right? There's lots of name puns with Dr. Zinzin's name in this.
We open with de Gaulle Airport. Peacemaker learns that the same terrorist network has struck again, this time targeting de Gaulle Airport in France. He's hurriedly mobilizes, driven both by duty and, of course, his need for murder and chaos.
Driven by duty and his helmet.
Yeah. It starts just like the first issue. Chaos, then Peacemaker, then more chaos and murder. Right?
Except now there are supervillains.
Super villains here. And they even go so far as to name our supervillains. So it's
Killer Watt, Warhead, and Razorback. Yes.
Not that Razorback. Right. This is a different Razorback.
Yeah.
Not the Marvel
And I
Razorback.
bet you can't guess what all of their powers are based on those names.
Yep. They're right there. It seemed like maybe we were developing some enemies for the Peacemaker, but no. All these guys get murdered very quickly.
we learn by the end of this series that Dr. Zinzin has essentially an army of super-powered mercenary cannon fodder.
Right. And we also learn that as Dad's ghost taunts the Peacemaker, who, again, the Peacemaker's like, Dad, you fly the Jet Maker while I go kill the nameless terrorists. And he's like, haha, I will only do so to help you kill, son. And he's like,
okay, the dad is German, not French. That was French.
Oh, whatever. He's like, yeah. And the Peacemaker is like, shut up, Dad. You're not in charge of me, even though you are like in charge of me. And the angrier he gets, the more violent he gets with these supervillains. Like, he doesn't just kill our boy Razorback, he kills the shit out of Razorback.
And now he's like beating them with his bare hands.
Right. He's getting into it. He's no longer just like shooting guys. He's killing them and yelling at his dad. When I say yelling at his dad, it's not in his head, because even our boy Killer Watt is like, who are you talking to, dude? While he's being beaten to death. The fight scenes here are solid enough. I mean, it's just, the Peacemaker whipping ass. And I feel like they're doing a pretty good job.
He's a brawler, right? He's not good. He's got some skills, right? He does some kicks and flips and stuff. But for the most part, he's just a brawler.
He's violent. He's just really violent. And at the end of the day, Dad or remote control plane is the one that really murders.
Remote control dad.
Remote control dad is the one that really murders these supervillains and blows up a plane and the terrorists that are in the Concorde
empty plane
are like, oh shit, they're blowing up the other planes. These guys are insane. And so like this is a truly Inspector Gadget moment where we are learning that the Peacemaker is not good at his job, purely a violent brute, and just so happens like all these things collide and the terrorists are like, shit, Peacemaker, you win. And he's like, not good enough. I'm still going to murder everybody involved here.
The scene that you're describing, he commands the ghost of his dad, which we have in my mind is his own subconscious. He controls Dad Plane to target two of the terrorists, and because just shooting them isn't good enough, the jet follows the prone bodies of the terrorists as they fall to the ground, and then they land on that empty plane and the plane explodes.
Right.
It's like it's the airplane equivalent of a murderer shooting his target until the clip runs out.
Yes, it's just completely
like maniacally
insane.
Pulling the trigger.
Right? And I don't blame any of these terrorists. Are like, fuck this, I'm out. They didn't pay me for this.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, no sir, I did not sign up for this.
And the whole time, Chris is talking to his dad, telling him to pilot and do these things. So it's one thing if he's like, Dad, no, I'm not evil. I'm not a murderer like you, but he is also remote controlling the plane and made it do that. So it's just like his rage is murdering everyone.
Look, I mean, unless we want to get wild and think that there really is malevolent.
There isn't.
Right. So clearly when he is imagining his dad, it is in his own mind.
Yeah, it's got to be.
And so when he is commanding his dad, when his quote unquote dad takes over the jet maker and murders two terrorists and destroys millions of dollars in property wantonly without hesitation, that is Christopher Smith's subconscious saying, this is okay.
Yeah. So while this is all going on, mind you, our boy, Dr. Zinzin, is watching this essentially on like closed circuit TV or the news or CNN at the time. I don't know.
That's how it was in the 80s, right? Everybody had a closed circuit TV because there was just cameras everywhere.
But he had another plan going on, and another group of faceless supervillains take out like some high level Soviet diplomats and government people. They're getting ready to overthrow the Soviet Union.
So they break into the Kremlin.
Yeah.
And they murder a room full of Soviet authorities.
But the Soviets, they got to keep it cool. They got to play real cool. So like, we just won't talk about it. We'll just be like, oh,
this is where so they're members in the language of the time. These are members of the Russian Politburo, and I might be saying that wrong, but it's like essentially their cabinet or CIA or, Joint Chiefs, whatever, their war cabinet. Right. And these supervillains bust in and murder them all. And this is where I started to really appreciate the layers that Kupperberg was weaving into the story, because he talks about how the Soviets slowly leak out a word of the quote unquote retirement of these 9 men.
They can't be embarrassed.
Rather than admit that they were slaughtered.
Yeah, they can't be embarrassed.
That sovereign soil was invaded and their leaders were murdered. Like he didn't have to do that, but he put that into the story, and I thought that was cool.
Well, I mean, and like, to be fair, at this time, like if shit like this went down in the Soviet Union, they would control the message. They control
that shit right up.
Yeah, I mean, much like the White House today, they control the media and like tell us exactly what we want to know. So
sure.
So the Peacemaker showed up in France, thwarted the threat. Dr. Zinzin watched that too, and he's like, well, that was all, stage play to distract anybody who would have stopped my Kremlin shit. But I'm not cool with this Peacemaker guy. Like, that guy took out Razorback, and Razorback is a fucking badass.
Owed me money.
Yeah. Like
that guy owed me money from last week's poker game.
More to the point, he's a fucking badass, Joe. All right. Like, I'm going to need a real badass to take out the Peacemaker. Go get me Micah and his elite squad. Because like, now let's just real quick. Razorback sounds like a pretty badass dude, right? Does he sound?
He is at the very least in use of metahuman weaponry.
Yes.
Something that stimulates superhuman power.
Razorback.
Whether or not he has superpowers or not.
Got Razor in his name. But does he sound as badass to you as popular late 80s, early 90s male name, Micah? I went to grade school with 2 Micahs. I can tell you right now, neither of which were
we
badass.
worked with a Micah. Yeah. I mean, and not, to be fair, the Micah that you and I know together,
our Micah was a badass.
Like a pretty tough guy.
He was a badass. Yeah, he was a professional bouncer. So
I think that he is tougher than a man who flies with razors on his back? Sorry,
not.
Micah, no.
Probably not. But we know that Zin Zin has Peacemaker on the radar. At the same time, he's not the only one watching the news. Our girl Dominique is watching the news, and when the Peacemaker gets home, she's like, you really fucking freaked out and like blew up a lot of shit, dude. And she's like,
this is also the first of at least 2 scenes where we get Dominique in a bikini.
Yeah, and she's hot as hell, of course. But Dominique, she's like, hey man, I don't know, maybe you need to chill out a bit. And Chris is unraveling. He is so pissed.
Also in a bikini.
Yeah, and looking good, briefs. But mad as hell because he was tricked and he couldn't be both places at both times. He's like, shut the fuck up, baby. I'm so mad I couldn't stop this shit. Like, he's going nuts.
He's very upset. It's true.
He's so mad.
And meanwhile, the ghost of his dead Nazi dad is mocking him.
Yeah, it's like, you're failing for all your talk of persevering the lives of people. Hundreds are dying. Like, he's just like giggling, you know?
Which, by the way, so something that I think is hilarious as this goes on is that we are always shown this image of Peacemaker's dad incorporated into the setting, which means in this scene, he is in full Nazi official officer regalia sitting in a beach lounger.
But also, they color him in blue, so it's very clear.
Yeah, as you know, so that you know that he's not really there.
He's a ghost. That does not stop the Peacemaker from having full-on screaming fights with his dad in front of people.
In front of other people.
Yeah, right. And they are aware. They're watching it happen, and they're just like, oh, shit. Lovely Brigitte comes in. She's like, how is he, Dominique? And she's like, he's getting worse. It's like straight up.
and you know what? To be fair, they say this shit while he is in the room as well.
Oh yeah, he's walking around fighting with dad while they're having this conversation.
Right. He's having an imaginary fight a few feet away, but they're like out loud talking about it.
Yeah, and it does not appear. I mean, unless the letterer is just not very good at their job, and I apologize if lettering's harder than I think it is, but it does look like Brigitte is just here like talking. It was inevitable. The mission had placed him under enormous pressure, and we know that the heightened activity sends Peacemaker into his manic phase. Like, she's not whispering.
Right. You're right. Like at this point, according to the positioning of the characters in the art, and I'll say this is not a strong panel by Todd Smith because it's very unclear where these characters are in relation to one another.
They appear to be right behind him. The only thing that makes sense is that the Peacemaker is screaming so loud that he cannot hear what his hot helpers are saying at the moment. I'm being crippled by lack of usable intelligence! How long can I keep stalking an individual salty? It's like he's just like screaming.
Yeah, like because this panel that I'm referencing, it looks like Brigitte, or pardon me, it looks like Dominique is a tiny child wedged between Brigitte and Chris.
Yeah.
And so it is so unclear where they are that it looks like they are inches from each other. And they're just like having full on conversation about how this guy is losing it.
More importantly, though, in this scene, this is where he's find out
with his dead dad.
Well, there's that. But more importantly, we find out Dominique straight up in love with this guy. She loves him. She tells Brigitte.
She has committed the cardinal sin of spycraft. She has fallen in love.
Yeah. And with a crazy person. A full-on crazy person. Psychotic, crazy person. Like, nothing that we have seen so far has coded this character as a hero. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, but Dominique, I guess.
I mean, he is killing bad guys, quote unquote.
Yeah,
but he's not a good person. He's not a hero at all.
And like up until this
point,
he
hasn't saved lives.
No,
certainly.
And up until this point, we've understood that the gang is here to help him with the mission. But now it is becoming very clear they are full on using Chris. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. He is a puppet that they are trying to point his violence in a certain direction to solve a problem, which leads me to the next question. Is there any evidence whatsoever this takes place in the DCU as you knew it in 1988 so far?
Aside from the reference to the vigilante issues, no,
right? it's insane.
But I mean, they reference the vigilante issues, and vigilante definitely takes place in the DC universe.
Fair enough. So the whole gang is terrified. They're afraid Chris is going to snap. I would argue Chris has already snapped, but
yes,
apparently they are aware that it gets even fucking worse from here. And don't worry, it's going to get worse.
Yeah, like literally. Dominique asks Brigitte, who is he talking to? And Brigitte says, whomever is in his mind.
Which you would think.
They know he's talking to voices.
Well, they know he's talking to voices, but he's also yelling out loud words like dad and wolf and father. It's pretty obvious who he's fucking talking to. So they're either willfully ignorant or stupid. I don't know which it is, or so horny that they're just willing to overlook it because he's too hot. You know, I don't know.
And I mean,
like Kanye's wife. She knows. Kanye's wife fucking knows, right?
Right.
Okay, let's check on our big badass Micah. Back on Zin Zin's island, Micah is readying his elite squad. A squad that we know is elite because they run around with guns, hit each other with nunchucks, and train with bow staffs. Badasses.
And you know that he's the boss of them and the trainer of them because he carries a whip.
But Micah takes
like a lion, tamer.
Yeah. He takes time out to capture Ramon, who was working with the German spy embedded on the island. Keep in mind, we don't know who either of these guys were working with. It's the Pax Institute. But
I think we do know.
Because everything is so insular in this book, it literally can't be anyone else, right? Ramon was able to send a message to his superiors, giving them just enough info to point to a trail. We learn in this that Project Peacemaker is not defunct, right? It was forgotten, but someone is running it. The PAX people are obviously still keeping Project Peacemaker alive. They're using Chris as a patsy to do the dirty work. I have to ask why Kupperberg has to make this plot so goddamn complicated. Why couldn't you just either tell the story of a Rambo, right? Where he's a blunt force instrument that they drop in to do the dirtiest shit. And if he dies, it doesn't matter because they could just be like, well, we'll disavow him, whatever. Why does everybody have to be lying to each other, not knowing who's working for whom, and terrified of the person? You
can't stop peeling.
Yes. Right. There's no reason for it to be this complicated at this point.
And so to make things more complicated, looking at the comic now, I am reminded that Ramon and his deceased partner from the beginning of the series that we heard about getting captured. They don't work for the PAX Institute. They work for the agency. They work for Mr. Stein, the American.
But we find out that Mr. Stein is part of the PAX Institute. The agency is
working with the PAX Institute.
We find out that Stein is part of the PAX Institute, though.
Do we?
Yes. That's just it. Who's working for who, Joe? We don't know.
Matt, I'm telling you, I read the last half of this miniseries today. And I did not pick that up.
I'm telling you, man, Kupperberg made this so needlessly complicated that it's just like if this whole exercise,
it's wheels within wheels for sure.
Yeah. If the whole exercise is just to poke fun at Hollywood blockbuster, I don't know, friend. I feel like maybe you came up with that later on trying to explain what you were doing.
Yeah.
Little revisionist history. Micah is a total badass though. That's what's really important here. He captures Ramon. He lifts Ramon off his feet with one arm. Appears to be, if Ramon, let's say, I don't know, he's Ramon's an agent. He was on the island of badasses, training with badasses, had to fit in. He's, we'll say, at least 5'9", 6 feet tall. I'm going to say Micah.
6 feet, 200.
Yeah. I'm going to say Micah's every bit of 8'4". He's huge.
Micah is a Titan. Yeah. He is tall like a giant.
Micah also is not wearing any superhero outfit whatsoever. He's not even a supervillain looking dude. He's just a dude.
He's not even wearing a regular shirt. He's just wearing
wife beater. Wife beater tank top, do-rag around his neck. He's got a Luke Cage kind of crown thing for some reason. I don't really know what that's about.
Yeah, he's got like an African sort of circlet around his forehead that reminds me of like Bronze Tiger kind of stuff.
He appears to break Ramon's back with one hand.
Or his neck.
I don't know.
One or the other.
Unclear. But the other guys are like, oh, shit. Ramon really got it. Ugh. Like, yeah.
Did you see what happened to Ramon? Yikes.
Don't fuck with Micah. That's what we've learned, right?
Yeah, that's the key takeaway.
We go back to the agency who's been spying all this stuff. They're well aware the Peacemaker is totally crazy. Kupperberg keeps putting in these scenes. We're like, just in case you forgot, the Peacemaker is out of his goddamn mind. Okay.
And everybody involved knows it.
All fucking know. They like Americans that smoke gigantic cigarettes that are the POV is so bad on. Like even they know it. It looks like this guy is smoking.
Really is it looks like a novelty cigarette.
Yeah. Page 18. It looks like a gigantic bionic novelty cigarette or something.
Even in the panel above that where it's just straight on from the side, that cigarette is way too long.
Still looks like something from
it's probably twice the length of a regular cigarette.
This looks like something Metron smokes. This is a New God cigarette. It's ridiculous.
The cigarette of the New Gods. So like at no point does anybody involved in the behind the scenes of this situation think maybe it's not okay to pin all of our hopes on a guy who talks to the ghost of his dead Nazi dad and then yells at him in public. Let's call Amanda Waller. Let's call
Joe. It's just World War III. The stakes are not high.
Let's call Maxwell Lord. Let's call anybody that we know operates on an international level.
This is not that big of a deal. It's only World War III. Okay, let's just chill out. Let's let the crazy guy handle it. Right now.
Yeah. Okay,
now that everything is clear as mud, the Peacemaker heads to Belfast for reasons. We don't really know why. We know
because the trail has been left for him that leads him to an Irish informant in Belfast, or an informant in Belfast,
where we get to see
his name is Alfie, so I assume he is Irish.
He's Irish. We get to see him get tortured with the helmet.
With the so here's another thing.
Helmet
and
powers.
we see this earlier on.
Yeah,
the helmet has powers, like in the show.
Right. He's using ultrasonics to fry Alfie's brain until he tells him
scrambling
something.
his eggs. Right.
And Alfred's like, shit, go to Istanbul. And he's like, okay, thanks, Alfie.
Yeah.
I'm out.
And now the Jetmaker looks like one of the aerial bots from the Transformers, which I think is fun.
Right. Pardon me.
That's something that the
jet does look way better here. I will say they took time to make the jet way cooler.
Todd Smith cannot settle on a design for any of this shit. All of the equipment looks different from panel to panel.
Oh yeah,
regardless of what it
issue
is.
to issue. I would also argue his art seems to get better from issue to issue, but the inker is not changing. So there's no one to blame but Mr. Tom himself.
Todd. Yeah.
Mr. Tom. Sorry, Todd Smith.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know. Let's save that kind of talk for the end.
After we torture Alfie, we literally go to Belfast for one page. Okay. Did we need to do that? Couldn't we just go straight to Istanbul? We had to go to Belfast first and torture Alfie so we can get to Istanbul, which is an opium den run by a pimp who
no. Point of order. It is a cat house.
Well, yeah,
it's a whorehouse.
I think there's a little bit of both going on here because there's just dudes smoking down and hot bitches.
They specifically refer to it as a whorehouse. They call the guy a pimp.
Yeah.
So like this is like a Game of Thrones, like where you go to spend your coin and get high and
in true fashion. The Peacemaker does not come in posing as Chris Smith, a man who's looking for a good time. No, smashes through the wall with an M16, screaming, "Show yourself, pimp!"
Screaming the guy's name, right?
Yeah. He allows.
And this guy is so sweaty the entire time.
Oh yeah, he's a sweaty fat dude. He allows this guy to shoot him in the face. What looks like 3 times. There's a zing, ping, zing, and from there we torture this guy for a while, calling him fat man, slapping him, again with the ultrasonics from the helmet. And that's when Micah shows up. This has all been a trap, Joe. The Dr. Zinzin planted a guy in Belfast that knew that there was a pimp in Istanbul that had some information that would lure the Peacemaker so Micah could get him. Now,
that all sounds right. Yes. That all sounds accurate.
Dr. Zinzin doesn't know that there's a peace chalet. Can't figure any of that out. This Peacemaker is not exactly an undercover
I don't think they
guy.
know about the peace chalet, but we do learn that they know about the Pax Institute, which is not a secret base by any means.
Seems like it'd be a hop, skip, and a jump to figure out where the Peacemaker is going, seeing as this is a guy that does not exactly cover his tracks. Kicks doors in, blows shit up.
Keep an eye on why don't you just keep one eye on the gigantic gold building and see if any jets fly in and out of it?
Shit. Come on. So it's all a trap. Micah is here. The Peacemaker is screwed. He's got all his big bad guys with him. Dad is making fun of him. Perhaps I should take the Schweinswager, Christopher. Wolfgang Schmidt does not bet on the losing side.
He is making racist comments about Micah the entire time because he's black.
To be fair,
Micah is black.
Dad is a Nazi, so that tracks.
Dad is a Nazi, yeah.
Yeah, but Dad is also rooting for this dude. He's like, Micah's going to kick your ass. You're screwed.
Well, yeah, because Wolfgang Schmidt doesn't bet on no losers.
Next month, the Winds of War. And that is where we will pick up in part 2 of our deep dive into the psyche of Chris Smith. We have to split this up.
I'm already so tired.
I have sweat through my shorts. I can't take anymore. This is so fucking crazy. Sadly enough, it gets crazier from here.
Yeah, it does get crazier.
Excelsior!
That is it for THN 788. Next week, the new comic show returns with reviews of 8 new comics. If you need more THN in the meantime, follow the link at twoheadednerd.com and join our Discord. Then join us for the THN Gang Hang on Saturdays at 11 o'clock Central Time.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, all that stuff. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a rating wherever you download your podcast. It helps other potential listeners to find this damn show.
Oh, also, guys, if you see us on social media of any kind, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, throw us a like, add a comment, share, click that share button. That sort of engagement really helps us. And frankly, we're very bad at it. So we need your help.
If they don't know that by now, then I don't know who we're talking to.
I'm just saying, look, get off your asses, will you? THN is a listener-supported podcast, and it would not be possible without the generosity of donors like our very own patron, Carrie Pierce. If you like what you hear every week like Carrie and you want access to exclusive THN content, it's easy to support the show. You can sign up to be a patron at patreon.com/twoheaded nerd. I said backslash instead of slash just for Matt Baum.
I appreciate that. Before we go, this episode shout out goes to our friends from across the pond, Ian and Gail Kelly, aka Staley Lord Fungus, and QE2, Queenie 2, for those of you who have been around for a while, who are celebrating their silver anniversary in Budapest. Very close to where we just were, Istanbul. Huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, maybe they're beating up pimps. Who knows? I am no expert, but I think that means they've been married for at least 175 years. Word.
Yeah, silver. I think that's the right.
Yeah.
I think that's the right mineral for. Yeah,
pretty sure.
Until next time, true believers, remember to pre-order your comics or your retailer might blow your profile's head off in the name of peace. This is the Two-Headed Nerd, signing off.
If they're not the violent type, they might just, have full-on conversations about how insane you are, right to your face, right behind. Who knows?